The multiplayer in this game is circa 1995.
Boom, headshot!
My grandma runs better than this game. That's a good one. He invoked Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, the invocation. He did the... He hit them with the culturally relevant insult. Shots fired. That's a heavy bowgun, Wyvern heart ignition right there, just full clip. This paragraph is the M. Bison meme all over again. This is the yes, yes. All right. Let's see what we got here then, eh? What we got? Review number 1. Dr. Bonatron. Boner, eh? Dr. Bonatron says there are no cooking cats. They don't reveal this to you, and the hours go by, and the hours go by, and suddenly, I like how he wrote that twice, and the hours go by, and the hours go by, and suddenly you realize there are no cooking cats, and by then you can't request a refund. Unforgivable. Dr. Bonatron, I feel you, buddy. No cats, no. There should be like a slogan, like, you know, when they say you break it, you buy it. I can't think of another one right now. What can we think of? No cats, no. Okay, I can't think of it. Somebody in the chat will figure it out. No cats. Obviously, it's got a rhyme. You know what I mean? No cats, no hats. But hats doesn't make sense. So no cats, and then no something to do with refunds or... All right, what we got next? Bird. Hello, Bird. Monster Hunter is my childhood series of nearly 16 years. Optimizations are not the sole issue. Performance has been unnecessarily poor for many people. However, fixing this will not solve the game's frustrating nature. I'm going to click read more. If I see Matthew, Luke, and John, chapter 17, plus chapter 13 and chapter 11, we are skipping. Click. Whoa, okay, that might be Matthew, Luke, John, and the book of Job as well. But, Bird, whatever you said, I feel you, buddy. I feel you. Right, what we got next? McFailsafe. The game has very poor performance. It is badly optimized, so I will wait for a patch. Respectable. I think the game needed at least maybe 4 to 6 months. Nah, maybe 6 is a bit too much. 4 months. I'd say like 4 more months in the oven. But well, we got what we got. Necro has reviewed it. He said it is not recommended. Can't really recommend it at its current state. Low FPS, constant lags, crashes, low quality textures, loading in really late or not at all are killing the mood and making this game unplayable. In general, it is another unfinished, unoptimized game just like any other. I fucked it up there. Very sad to see. It is quite sad. I say that in a mocking tone. But yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that a lot of the reviews are going to be mentioning performance issues. I mean, you had Maximilian, who has one of the most highest end gaming rigs that you can have right now. But even him, with a 4090 and whatever his CPU is, which I assume is pretty top tier because he pretty much knows quite a lot about gaming optimization and all of that, and even he was having a rough time in certain areas. So to the point where he even suggested that perhaps the best way or the most seamless, smoothest experience of Wilds right now may actually be the PS5 Pro, which is saying a lot. If you've got actual people with like entire rocket engines in their PC and they're having a rough time with the game. Who we got next? Molotov. Russia. Russia is after us. They're watching. It's not only Ukraine that they're after. They're after our Monster Hunter reviews too. Watch out, guys. Watch out. Why is it such a chore to play with my friends? That's a question. That is a question. To be fair, it's not that it's hard to play with friends or figure out multiplayer. It's just, I think it's a mixture of the menus being overly convoluted or just not very well designed, and then like the multiple different ways, right? Like environment link party, lobbies. I think there's one other as well. Actually, I think that's it. But on the surface, it just, they made some decisions that are weirdly like tight to figure out when it really didn't need to be that way. Anyway, we continue. Why is it such a chore to play with my friends? The multiplayer in this game is circa 1995. That's a shots fired. That's a, who's played Metal Gear Solid 3? The end, the sniper. You know, the one where you can turn your place. Apparently you can turn, I actually never beat the end in this way. Apparently you can turn your PlayStation off and then like wake up the next day, and then the end will just die of old age. Like he meets his end via natural causes. Pretty crazy. Kojima, that was a brilliant mind when he was working on Metal Gear. Not sure about the Death Stranding stuff, but we will see. Anyway, we go on. It's buggy, it's confusing to use, it gives errors constantly. How this made it into a fully released title is beyond me. I would wait to buy the products until /when/if, that's a lot of slashes, that's some Wolverine slashes right there. Until /when/if Capcom figures out modern connectivity and fixes multiplayer. What an absolute joke. What an absolute joke. What a joke. And I ain't laughing. Nephilim. Oh, for those who don't know, the Nephilim, all right, were children of angels and demons. That's right. In Diablo 3, we were referred to as the Nephilim.
Nobody cares.
After 4 hours of playing the game, I got 3 crashes, and now I can't get past the loading screen without the game. You know what would be good about some of these reviews, or all of these reviews that talk about performance? If they would show you what they're running on, right? Like maybe there should be, maybe there should be like a thing or a button that you press where it says, you know, what is the major part of your issue, and if it's performance related, it should force you to like screenshot, or not screenshot it. There should be like a feature where once you post a review, Steam will just analyze your PC, and then it will show the readers what setup they're running, you know, what PC rig they've got set up. Because it would be quite funny if some of these optimization issue reviews were running like, you know, toaster with cheese in the middle kind of CPU and GPU, right? I don't think I've had this much fun with a game in a long time. I absolutely love Wilds. It's not perfect, but I love it. However, it's impossible for me to leave a positive review for this game at its current state. It's probably one of the most unoptimized games in the last 5 years, and Cyberpunk came, ooh, shots fired. He invoked Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, the invocation. He did the chung. That's a stinger right there. Cool game, awful performance, and worse optimization. Capcom, if you do end up fixing the game and you'd like me to edit this review into a positive one, it will cost you £3.49 for a review edit voucher. Shots fired. That's a heavy bowgun, Wyvern heart ignition right there. Just full clip. That's what that is. Just full shots fired infinitely. Oh no. He hit them with the culturally relevant insult. Like, oh, Capcom, yo, you wanna charge me to edit my character? Well, you make your game good and you pay me, then I'll edit my review. How about that? How about that, eh? Well played, well played. My grandma runs better than this game. That's a good one. I can see why people are giving it an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, even 10 out of 10. I'm even able to play it on a comfortable, stable frame rate with good visuals, because thankfully, I'm blessed with quite a decent setup. But what the hell is this lack of optimization and you trying to force frame gen on us? Not everyone is even able to use this tech. I saw how the game runs and looks on consoles. Also not the best situation there. I'm not gonna lie, I thought the way it was building up, he was doing the Genki Dama. His hands were up and I was expecting like the Genki Dama to fully form and then just explode the entire planet with like how that was gonna end. But that was it did not go that way. That was very anticlimactic. This game is everything wrong with PC optimization in 2025. I paid $70 to boot a crash report. Damn, this guy's got 76 hours as well. I mean, maybe this person's opinion changed. For you to say this and then have 77.6 hours on record, I mean, you basically got $1 per hour, right? At least. So I guess your game stopped crashing, basically. This game is absolutely amazing. Amazing. But has the worst optimization I've ever seen. I understand that new games are becoming more demanding and people are expected to upgrade, but this is absurd. I'm aware this isn't the first instance of new games having poor performance on launch, because the same thing happened with World. But that did happen. But it feels inexcusable at this point. Yeah, and I think one thing that some people or nobody's mentioned so far, the design approach of the game, like doing the whole gigantic open world connected biome thing, it's a shame that it feels as if that decision to make the game in that way created a performance problem. Like sometimes you'll be in camp and it will say so and so and so and so engage in a turf war. It's like, first of all, I don't need to know this. I'm in camp. It's not like I'm going to see that there was a turf war. Let me quickly teleport over there and pick up the remains and get some scraps from the turf war. So letting us know that that's a take. But the fact that we are notified of that tells me that perhaps so much things are going on in the background, even when you can't see it, that it makes me wonder if it's creating performance problems, right? Like, how far does that go? Like, if in the windswept plains, right? Imagine I think the furthest point away from the main base camp in the windswept plains is the place where Ray Dow sleeps. You know, like the mountain area with the curved mountain area, the lightning area. Let's say Arkveld and Ray Dow meet there and there's a turf war. Like, they must be those two monsters they're moving around the map. Like, they have to be moving around. There has to be some data, some information, some kind of, some heavy lifting is being done for that to be playing out off screen. I do wonder, is all of that background stuff having an effect on the performance or the optimization, right? And how far does it go? If you're in the windswept plains, does it also take into consideration what's going on in the Scarlet Forest? I would hope not. I doubt it. That would seem like a waste of resources. But I don't know, because of the way that the biomes are connected, right? I don't know. Who's to say? Maybe someone in the chat is like a programmer, or it's probably a thing where there's multiple ways that Capcom could have done it, and we probably just won't know how they've done it. How does a game manage to run perfectly fine in an open beta and I receive an excellent rating score on the benchmark, but the actual product that costs actual money runs like absolute sludge? He said absolute sludge. He said it runs like Grimer, like muck, like coughing. He said it runs coughing, sludge attack. That's what he said. He said it runs like coughing, sludge attack. Wow. Playing with friends is a pain in the ass. You start a mission, you get to the monster. Oh my god, you reminded me of another inconceivable issue. You get to the monster, then wait for your party leader to get to the monster in their own instance. Then you accept their invite. You get teleported back to town and have to run all the way to where the monster is. Yeah, this is another thing that is like, again, what is our premise, guys? Hey Capcom, everybody in the Capcom studios, what do we want to do with this game? Okay, well, let's make the game super accessible and much more co-op friendly, because in World, It was not very co-op friendly. You had to trigger a cutscene, and then you could fire the SOS, or then you would have to return to camp and then go on a quest again with friends, right? Or throughout the whole story. Let's not do that again, considering that we want to make the game more new player, smooth and friendly, right? And that just didn't happen. I have no idea. I don't know how that happened. Extremely fun gameplay, but can't recommend in its current state. Exploding polygons, vertices. I think they fixed that, to be fair, finally. But man, that was... I thought when that happened to me, when I got the exploding polygons behind my character, that was actually a point where... I've never refunded a Steam game, but that was one time where I'm like, man, just on principle that this is happening in a AAA game, I felt like refunding it at that moment when it happened to me multiple times. I remember one time it happened so bad that like I had to actually like cover my eyes because it was too much. Like I had to just look away or just and this was before I figured out how to fix it. Now I know you can go into the mesh, I think it's the texture or the mesh, and then you just set it to a lower setting or a higher and then return it to what it was before, and then it will go away. And I felt super validated when I saw it happen to other streamers. I'm like, yes, okay, it's not just me then. It's not just me with my terrible 4060 GPU. It's this other streamer with a 4090 as well. This game runs like absolute garbage. Garbage. I have been a fan since Monster Hunter 3U. I have 1,000 hours in Monster Hunter across all of the games. My beefy rig with a 380 Super and decent CPU can't run this game at an acceptable frame rate. Save your money until they fix it. Capcom did us dirty with Dragon's Dogma 2. Don't let them get away. You can't let them get away with this. Please vote with your wallet. I hate things. How this wallet would have been much better if it just didn't say Pokemon, right? Yes, we see it's Pikachu. We don't need to be reminded that Pikachu is a Pokemon. How much just I don't know, it's the inner artist in me that I hate it. It's the same with like t-shirts, right? Like, you know, when you get a big t-shirt and everybody knows that the person on the t-shirt is Naruto. Naruto is on your t-shirt. Okay, great. Guess what we don't need? We don't need big orange text. Naruto across the top, the inside, diagonally, in a circle around Naruto. We don't need it. We don't need it. We can see it's Naruto. If somebody looks at it and they don't know who it is, tough. There was actually one really funny... Ironically, what inspired me to do this video was that there was a review on Reddit. I was hoping it was real. Like I opened Steam and I'm like, okay, let me find the full version of this review, because this would be hilarious. I was morbidly curious on their thoughts on Wilds. I should not have gone and looked. So here's me reading it. I'm seeing it, woke content detector. Like I'm seeing all of these signs, but in my brain it didn't register as a meme. Like when I first saw this, I thought it was actually real. So they say contains overly pro DEI, subtle pro climate action, subtle pro LGBTQ+, and subtle pro immigration messaging. See the full review for spoilers. And then this made me think, oh wow, this must be real, right? Actually, it might be. Wait, YouTube video, Monster Hunter Wilds full game movie. Oh wait, is this actually real? Oh no. Anyway, they go on to say, Alma remarks on the biodiversity of the forest with the line, incredible, so much diversity. According to the game's website, she's a cultural anthropologist and avid archaeologist. Her fascination with the forest's biodiversity seems strange, unless she's based on a tree-hugging leftist like her appearance suggests. Not to mention its subliminal messaging that diversity is always good, and more diversity is better than less. That's quite funny. Moving on to Noxious Night. Monster Hunter Wilds is a great game, just not yet. And hopefully with some more updates, my review might change. Okay, interesting. This is a essay writer right here, we can tell. Let's start with the positives. Visually, Wilds is stunning, agreed. Its environments are beautifully crafted, agreed. And the combat remains impeccable. Somewhat aggrieved. Carrying forward the deep, rewarding mechanics that define the series. The thrill of the hunt is still here. Somewhat disagree, especially considering that so much of the hunting aspect has been streamlined and made way more accessible and kind of open the map, go to the guy, sacred automation, fast travel camps out the asshole. Everything has clearly been designed to be. Where did I hear this? I heard somebody say Capcom designed the current state of Wilds, or Capcom designed Wilds to be super accessible and snappy because they want players to be able to, like, the same way that people would play back in the, on the handhelds, PSP, DS, and you could do a hunt on the train, on the bus, and you could actually finish the hunt, right? Or at least like start the hunt and then put your console in sleep mode and then finish it later. I think I read somewhere that some people think that, or there's some evidence to say that they wanted the hunts in Wilds to kind of feel a similar way, where it's snappy, it's fast paced. You don't need to spend 20 minutes and then end up dying and then wasting your time. It's like they considered the time of the player perhaps a bit too much, and rather than create hunts that are more long lasting, they seem to, from the ground up, design encounters that are supposed to finish relatively quickly. With that in mind, I mean that's the reason why I would disagree with the thrill of the hunt. I mean, if by thrill of the hunt you mean the thrill of my sacred just autopiloting to my target, and then no need for tracking, no need for actually figuring out where the monster spawned, just it being available on the map infinitely is a different approach. I'll say that. The thrill of the hunt is still here, with weapons feeling satisfying to use and monsters providing exhilarating challenges. For everyone who knows my position on the difficulty of the game, you will probably know that I definitely disagree with exhilarating challenges. Exhilarating fights, I would agree with. Some of the presentation, Jindahar, the last boss, what's his name? Zo Shia, right? That's his name. Definitely some exhilarating visuals, but I don't know if I'd say exhilarating challenges. The fishing is also kind of cool now. Yes, that's actually a highlight. I don't recall fishing being that much different from World, but I could be recalling that wrong. The issues. All right, here we get some spice. However, despite its strengths, Wild stumbles in nearly every other aspect. Performance has been unnecessarily poor for many players, and while optimization will likely change or likely come in future patches, they won't fix the game's more fundamental problems. Wilds takes multiple steps back from the series' core identity, creating an experience that is frustratingly obstructive and unfinished. I don't think I agree with it being frustratingly obstructive, actually. I think they've made... Well, I guess it depends on what area he's calling... Like, which specific area is he calling obstructive? Because I could see, like, some of the menu, navigation, and maybe the multiplayer stuff not being super clear, especially for players who've never played it before, or Monster Hunter before. I could see that feeling frustratingly obstructive. Ooh. I saw that title. I saw what's coming up next. UI and navigation. This is the first review that's about to dive into this. Honestly, I have a lot to say about the UI. I'm even willing to go as far as to say that some of the UI decisions that were made, perhaps maybe some of the most egregious, unforgivable, unfathomable, inconceivable decisions that were made, especially when you're going into this game trying to make it as user friendly, new player guiding as possible. Going from World to Rise and then to Wilds with this in mind, like, let's make Wilds the most welcoming Monster Hunter game there is, and then you have a UI like this. Oof. OOF. What does it spell? Oof. That's all I got to say for that. But perhaps this gentleman has a very different perspective. Let's see what we got. UI and navigation. The user interface is a mess. Something as simple as adding a friend without joining the same lobby is an ordeal. The game's multiplayer is somehow more obtuse than World's already clunky system. He's not wrong there. Requiring unnecessary steps just to play with friends. The other day, earlier today when I was streaming, twitch.tv/OpenCharlie, come check me out. A viewer asked me to add him on with his hunter code, right? So I copied the hunter code from the chat and I go into the menu in the game to figure out where to paste the code because I'm not even sure. So I go to invite friend, but I think invite friend is for like Steam friends, like friends that are already on your Steam, and he was not my friend on my Steam. So I'm searching through the menu. I'm like, I don't actually see where to copy paste your hunter code. And then he says in the chat, oh, you need to go to member list. You need to open member list, and that's where you put the code. And I'm just like, why? First of all, thank you for telling me that because I never would have figured out. Like perhaps I would have accidentally went there just for the sake of going through each and every menu, but I never like why would anyone think that to add a friend or to add a hunter, you would go to member list? In every other game, well not every other game, but even outside of Monster Hunter previous Monster Hunter game knowledge, member list suggests that you're looking at the members who are currently in your lobby or in your party. So when adding a new friend or a new hunter, you would the average mind, the thinking mind, right? The heart-beating human mind would not think to go to member list to then navigate in the member list menu to find a place where it says, hunter code. Put your hunter codes here. Just, yeah, pretty brain rot, I would say. The HUD is cluttered with unnecessary markers and information overload. Yes, 100% agree with that. Stealing attention from the world and combat. Instead of immersing players, it bombards them with visual noise that distracts from exploration. All of the UI stuff that pops up on the right-hand side of the screen, you know it's bad, right? You know it's bad when, let's say you finish a hunt, you go back to camp, and then you want to open your map instantly so you can see what's on the map and maybe you can save some investigations, right? But like because of the pop-ups on the right-hand side, the button to close the pop-ups is the same button to open the map. So you end up having to skip 2 or 3, pop-ups on the side to then get to the map, It's small. It doesn't take like that much time. It's only like literally like 2 to 3 seconds to like actually get through that and open the map. But it's just, and I know there's other ways to get around it. You can actually set your map. You can set the opening of your map to a radial menu. Like there's there's secrets. There's like Nintendo magazine codes to actually go through it and figure it out or bypass it in a way that is more seamless. But we shouldn't have to, right? It's just, I remember I saw on Reddit somebody said that, and I don't know if this person studied this at university, but the way that they worded it sounded like they did. But they said that the UI, the user experience interface in Wilds is so bad that they think that this game would be used in a UX design course at a university, right? Like if you're studying UX design and the lecturer wanted to show you examples of what you shouldn't do when it comes to user interface, here it is. Here's Monster Hunter Wilds. When you guys graduate and you go out into the big wide world of user interface, don't even try it. Don't let this be a lesson to all of you. If you want to get fired immediately, come up with a design looking like this, Loss of core Monster Hunter identity. I'm very curious to see what this person says. Who is this person? Oh, Noxious Knight. Yeah, this person's cooking right now. Let's see if he cooks with this one. Monster Hunter has always been about preparation. Ooh, I know where he's going already. Yes. Speak on it. Speak on it, God. Speak on it, God. Monster Hunter has always been about preparation, scouting, tracking, and finally engaging in combat. Wild strips away these core gameplay elements in favor of shallow, modern open world tropes. This paragraph this is the M. Bison meme all over again. This is the yes. Yes. You know how he says it with the exact same tone? Yes. Yeah, that's what that is. This paragraph is very straight to the point, succinct, true and real. You know, in the words of Asmongold, true and real right there. It's so true and real, I'm going to read it again. Monster Hunter has always been about preparation, scouting, tracking, and finally engaging in combat. WoW strips away these core gameplay elements in favor of shallow, modern, open world tropes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Very well written. And I couldn't agree more. Now, while that is true, I don't think that because something has always been a way, it doesn't mean that there couldn't be an implementation or there couldn't be a version of a Monster Hunter game that does do away with some of that. I guess the issue comes down to how much they do away with it, or how much of it is done away with, and what it's replaced with, right? Because I think it's possible. I mean, clearly we're in the world now where they've done away with a lot of those things, and doing away with those things shouldn't automatically mean that you have a less engaging game compared to what this gentleman is describing the way it was before. But what they've done so far is, on paper, or at least in my opinion and his opinion too, that it's a much less, the series is worse off for losing those things. If the removal of these things was partially to streamline the game, I think it's possible. Wait, let me not say I think. Sometimes I say I think as a way to like soften what I want to say, so I don't sound like I'm trying to be too authoritative or speak like I'm a know-it-all or something. I know that it's possible for them to have streamlined some of these things in a way that doesn't remove the essence of what this gentleman is talking about, right? Like stripping away the core gameplay elements in favor of shallow, modern, open world tropes, you know, removing some of the preparation, scouting, and tracking. There's a way you could have streamlined these things. These things could have been streamlined in a way that is less cumbersome or less time consuming, but still allows the player to actually participate in them, right? And I think that's the problem I have too. Scouting is undermined by objective markers that tell you exactly where everything is, removing the joy of discovery. True. Tracking is gone, replaced by an ever-present magic marker that directs you to your target without effort. Yeah. What's the guy's name? Ratatoska? Sometimes I was watching some of his streams, and I think he put it best, which was the tracking in Worlds is not perfect, but getting rid of it completely was also the wrong move. Again, it goes back to like there must have been, or not that there must have been, there definitely is or was a way for them to have tracking and just make it better than what it was in World. More fun to engage with, more rewarding, make you feel like a hunter more so. You know, it could have been done, but they just, yeah, I think it was a strange, like you have a game called Monster Hunter Wilds, right? And it's so much of the magic of the game is about the ecology and the monster behavior and how large the maps are, and you can go, you don't even need to start a quest from Alma, from your handler. You can just go out into the wild, hit a monster, and then your hunt begins, right? If there was ever a game where scouting and tracking should have been more like a bigger part of the game, it should have been this one. Exploration is actively discouraged as the game yanks you back if you stray too far. Well, that's only in the story mode, right? I mean, it's annoying, but the game doesn't yank you out of exploring when you're just in a map. Combat, while still strong, is hindered by poor pacing and an overabundance of handholding. Poor pacing and overabundance of handholding? I disagree with that. In fact, like I was speaking to a viewer earlier today on my stream, and one of they're only at HR5, so I was asking them like, what do they think of the game so far? And one of the issues that they had is that the game they think it's a shame that the game doesn't have good in-game weapon tutorials, and that he had to end up going online on YouTube to to find videos, right? Like to watch videos and learn how to play a weapon based on other content creators, right? And sure, the game does have built-in tutorial menus and things to read, but again, it comes back to very strange decision making. Like here we are making a game that we want to be the most welcomingest Monster Hunter game ever made, and in this most welcomingest game, we don't have in-game like weapon tutorials where a character, an NPC, is actually walking you through, right? Like this is Capcom we're talking about. These are the creators of Street Fighter. Street Fighter 6 has in-game tutorials, right? Well, pretty well put together in-game tutorials. And the reason why it's even extra strange when you consider that this is Capcom we're talking about, and going back to fighting games, which is fighting game tutorials have always been something that a lot of developers who make fighting games, particularly 2D fighting games, really, really work hard to try and make good, because they understand that teaching players or teaching non-fighting game players how to play fighting games it's a heavy task. It's not easy. And you can tell with SF6, there's so much time and money and attention that was spent on those in-game tutorials. Like each character has not only is there a character tutorial for each character, but you got your combo trials, and even the way the character tutorials play out, like the character kind of speaks to you, and each character has a personality, right? And they all speak to, like, the way they talk to the player, the way they guide you, like Ryu, the way Ryu says, press this button, this is one of my best moves. It will really bring out your spirit, the soul of the fighter, right? Like Ryu would say something like that. And then Luke, who is way more like, Zuma humor, way more, I think he's a content creator, like in game, is he a content creator? Or he looks like a streamer guy. Like he kind of talks in that way, like, oh, this is my strong button if you really want to make your opponent get wrecked. Like he doesn't actually say that, but all that to say that they spent a lot of time with the tutorials in Street Fighter 6, and it's just kind of odd that they didn't do that with Monster Hunter. Anyway, strange decisions were made, mistakes were made. Shout outs to who says that? Hearthstone, not Jaina. Who's the rogue in Hearthstone? Valera. Overall, with this point, I disagree that there is too much hand holding, because there isn't even in-game tutorials to teach you how to play, and the tutorials that do show up, they don't hold your hand that much, I don't think. Rather than enhancing the experience, these changes reduce Monster Hunter to a streamlined action game, stripping away the depth that made past titles special. I agree with this, but I think we should know now, or by now, that clearly this is the direction that they've decided to take. Low rank experience and story. Oof, this guy is going in. He's going through from top to bottom. He is leaving no stone unturned. The stones have been turned everywhere. Early game progression is a slog. Hunts are too short, often lasting only 5 to 10 minutes, making combat feel rushed rather than rewarding. Build crafting has been oversimplified with restrictive gem slotting, eliminating creativity and satisfaction of optimizing a setup. I disagree with the oversimplification of the gem or the decoration slotting. I mean, it's literally the same as what we've gotten so far. What I would critique, though, is that in regards to the low rank experience, right? The game, low rank is so, especially if you're doing it solo. Actually, mostly if you're doing it solo. If you're playing multiplayer, people are going to faint. You're going to fail quests, because you're talking like 2 to 4 other players who are different experience levels, right? And you're going to get faint. You're going to get quest failures. But if you're playing primarily solo, like I did, like I played through the whole story solo, it truly wasn't until high ranked where I was like, oh, I guess I should change my armor, or I guess I should actually look at, like, actually try out some of these other skills. Because low rank was so straightforward and frictionless that I felt as if not that I felt as if I actually wasn't engaging with the game's systems, right? You've got Well, decorations don't count because they are not introduced until, like, you can't even equip them until later on, I think in high rank, right? A lot of the armor in the game and the skills that were offered, it felt, I didn't feel as if I needed to even take a look at them or try them out because I was doing fine with, like, the hope armor gear took me quite far. I think it would be better design if the game was designed in a way that kind of forced you to utilize and switch up your armor more often. I don't think it needed to be the case where, oh, you're high rank now? Okay, now it's time to change your armor because we're throwing a lot more stuff at you now. The story, meanwhile, is both forgettable and frustratingly intrusive. Unlike World, which gave players room to breathe, Wilds constantly shackles players with excessive handholding, preventing them from engaging with the game on their own terms. The first 10 hours feel like a prolonged tutorial, suffocating any sense of freedom. Yeah, I think most people, I think even people who love the game a lot and are Omega positive about it, even they would concede that this is indeed true. World story definitely did have a lot of low points, like having to who remembers having to gather a bunch of tracks, right? Filling up a bar to gather enough tracks to then unlock the NPC dialogue, which would unlock the next assignment, right? Nobody misses that. That definitely sucked. The fact that Wilds made a conscious effort for its story to be taken seriously, it's quite ironic that the previous game, or 2 games ago with World, the effort for the story to be taken seriously wasn't there, yet the story was better. What's missing? Many beloved features from past games are either absent or underwhelming. No home customization. Oh wow, I didn't even realize that. I guess that's because there's so many camps and we don't have like a base. But then again, you could have still had an area where we have a home, right? It could have even been in the main base, in the Windwards, well, not main base, but in the Windward Plains base. There still could have been an area where we still could have had our own house. I don't think there being so many more villages or bases means that's why we don't have our allocated customizable house. I actually don't think that tracks. No endemic life as pets. Well, that's a byproduct of having no customizable homes, right? So that's a bit of a double up on the same point, essentially. No meaningful mounts in combat. Meaningful mounts. Maybe he's talking about Rise and how you can mount monsters and then bring them over like you're riding a giant robot. Maybe that's what he's talking about. If that is what they're talking about, then yeah, I disagree with that. I don't think we didn't need the Silkbind mounting system from Rise in this game. No significant collectibles. I don't think that's true. I think there's quite a few things you can collect. Maybe not as many as World for sure, but you can definitely have some collectibles and utilize your hunter profile and put some stuff on there. No raids. Well, base World didn't have any raids, so although in the past I've said, I mean, in one of my previous videos, I am of the mindset that just because base World also didn't have a thing, that doesn't mean that base Wilds should also not have the thing just because that thing came later in the previous game. I think that it is possible and it would be fine to, for example, Kulve Taroth, right? Kulve Taroth came way later. That's a raid fight. But I don't think it needs to be the case that we don't get our first raid fight until however many title updates down the line with Wilds. I think we could have gotten a raid in base game. I don't agree with this whole base World didn't have it, so that's why base Wilds doesn't have it. I'm not in that camp. Within reason, of course. Like, I don't think base Wilds needs like a guiding lens type of endgame, because clearly that will come later. But yeah, certain other things I think would have been fine to include. So if I was writing a negative review, I wouldn't put no raids as a negative. But I also do think that raids could have been there in the base game. I don't see any reason why not. Maybe not raids plural. Well, definitely not raids plural. Just and it seems like the Jinder hard fight could have been that, or perhaps was intended to be that because of like the aggro system that it's got, and then the giant room wide AoE wipe thing. Yeah, they had a kind of fight that could have been raid-ish, but Alas, these missing elements further dilute the experience, making the world feel emptier and less engaging. Overall, I agree with that though. The verdict. All right, here we go. He's going to put the cherry on top. He's going to seal the deal, put the signature. He's going to drop the mic. He's going to throw his smoke bomb down. And when the smoke is gone, he's going to be out of there. The verdict. Monster Hunter Wilds has immense potential. Its combat remains excellent and its world is breathtaking. However, its misguided design choices, frustrating UI, lack of core Monster Hunter elements, and poor pacing made it a difficult game to recommend at launch. If Capcom can address these issues through updates and expansions, Wilds could eventually become a worthy successor to past titles. I'm glad I read this one. This feels like a very nice summary of what of what a lot of other reviewers are going to be talking about. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed my reading of these pretty, I would say, reasonable, mostly reviews, and most of the critiques I agree with. What about you though? What's your take? What do you think? What do you feel about Monster Hunter Wilds? Stand up in the comments, and don't forget to check me out on twitch.tv/EarthbenderCharlie, which is where I stream quite regularly for random topics and discussions like this. Make sure you jump on over to keep up to date when I'm gonna next be on, which will be, there's no point in saying a day right now because whenever you're watching this is gonna make the day that I say moot and irrelevant. So what I will say instead is please like, please subscribe, please share, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.